I was always told I would never make money playing video games. I was told there was no future in playing video games. And now something that I used to do, something that I will 100% do for free, because I did it for free for 25 plus years, I'm now getting paid to do.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy 5 Wars Deke, and I am joined today with a very special guest. You have probably seen this guy's channel. If you have not, you should check it out. This is Uncle Sam's Reject. Go ahead, brother. For people who don't know you, just go ahead, your name, where you're from, and what you do.
All right, yeah. So my name's Justin Thompson, better known as Uncle Sam's Reject on the internet. Retired Army veteran, and now a YouTuber in my spare time. 30,000 subscribers on YouTube, almost 2,500 followers on Twitch. I think I'm nearing in on 1,000 on Facebook. Just a black dude who's been playing games his whole life and found a way to make a little bit of money while doing it.
And I think that's one of the best things, you know, being able to monetize a hobby. What was the first video game you played? What do you remember there?
The first video game I played, probably like most people my age, I'm 31, Super Mario. On the original Nintendo. My parents actually play video games. A lot of people in my family play video games, so it started at a young age. But I do remember playing Nintendo, Super Mario. I remember that specifically being my first game on like one of those big box, big screen TVs. Like TVs that aren't the way they used to be. Like TVs the way the TVs used to be aren't the way they are now. They used to be like a big screen, but it was a box that held it, and it had wheels on the bottom. You had to push it around, and it was the speakers on the bottom, and it weighed like a few hundred pounds. It wasn't like you couldn't carry a 60-inch TV by yourself, back in the 90s and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm with you for sure. I mean, I remember seeing them, but like me, I wasn't born until '96, so it was a little bit different. But so. You said you were a retired member of the Army. My father was in the Army. My brother's in the Navy now. How many years did you serve?
So I did almost 6, and then I was looking to do 20, but my body just couldn't handle it anymore. I was a medic, a lot of injuries, a lot of bending over, a lot of carrying people. Body broke down, and so they ended up medically retiring me.
Let's get into the channel a little bit, because I think that's one of the things that has just been really popping, especially over like the last year. It wasn't even a year ago that you did your 20K subs Q&A. Yeah. And now you're over 32K subs, man. What have you learned, especially during this time of the pandemic? What have you learned about your channel and your audience?
Well, I've learned a few things. Well, like one of the things where, so I'm 31, so I got a lot of friends sometimes, like up until like a few years ago, they were like, man, you still playing those video games and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, yeah, man. I was like, this is just one of those things. I don't think I'm outgrow it, because, it's a stress reliever. And I learned a lot of people my age feel the same way. A lot of people like me being 31, I was born in 89. I was born in that weird time where I know what it's like to grow up without electronics and Wi-Fi, but I know what it's like, but I also grew with electronics and Wi-Fi. So I wasn't born into it. I wasn't born. I mean, I wasn't born into it. I was born before it, but it started to boom as I started to grow as a young man. So, everything that, I'm a part of the generation that was teaching their parents how to use computers and how to work things and how to, use voice commands and things of that. And, I just learned that, that a passion of mine, people share it, and I'm able to do that. I'm able to reach thousands and thousands of people, virtually without ever meeting them in real life, and we can bond and form friendships and everything like that. It's just been crazy, just like I remember when voice chat first came into gaming, and they had like the Call of Duty parties. I have friends that I met in the early 2000s on voice chat who are still like some of my best friends today. And so, through gaming, I've learned that, and about my audience is that, everybody, like, it's just crazy. Like, cause I even though I'm a YouTuber, I watch YouTubers as well. So I also watch people play video games. It's just crazy that we've grown so much with video games. It's so much a part of our life. We rather watch that over watching regular TV because it's more entertaining to us.
Which is so crazy, man. Like it was, I was telling my girlfriend, I was like, I'm telling you, like YouTube is really like. She's like, people are watching you play video games. I was like, yes, people are
Yeah.
watching that. It's weird, man. One of the things I feel like the only other word I can use is creative and like beautiful. The way it's on your channel is the backstories you create for these fictional characters in a video game.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at like you had a whole backstory for Hawaii Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Even before that, you had an entire series where you were talking about a football player whose father wanted him to do one thing, and he was like, I want to play football, and then he has his whole career, makes it to the NFL. What inspires you to write these stories? Where do these stories come from, and why create such a backstory in the first place?
All right. So for me, I wasn't an only child, but I'm the youngest of two, and my sister's 4 years older than me. And my sister, although she plays sports, so my sister was the books, and I was the sports. Although we both did well in both, like books was more her thing, sports was more my thing. So I remember just as early as And all right, so I grew up watching a lot of wrestling, and there's a heel, there's a good guy, there's backstories, and I remember my cousins, my friends, we would do like backyard wrestling, and we would become our own people. And so even back in elementary school, one of my favorite exercises to do for getting ready in New Jersey, we take the Terra Nova test, is they would have this. It was like the picture tells 1,000 words exercise. They give you a picture and you got to write a story on it. And so it have to be like a page every time we wrote a story in school. But I would just write these like 4, 5, 6 page stories, and my teacher would just say like one, this is incredible, but two, I have to have time to read everybody else's because it's so long. So I just always created my own world. And even just like being in the backyard playing sports, everybody's done this. It's 3 seconds on the clock. He inbounds the ball, he shoots the shot, he hits it. And so one thing I always caught myself doing as a kid too, I used to mute the TV because if anybody that plays sports games, the commentary gets repetitive. You hear the same things for the whole cycle of the game, which is usually a year. I would mute the commentary and I would find myself, commentating the games myself. And so that was fun to me while playing the game, or I would sometimes let the computer play and commentate it. Even if I wasn't saying it out loud, I'd be doing it in my head, while watching the games. And so fast forward, so when I went to college back in 2008, I was a broadcast journalism major, and so I always liked stories and sports and stuff like that. And then once I got out of the army, I started, I started getting into film more, because I was retired. I was a stay-at-home dad, with my 3-month-year-old daughter. She's 4 now, but I told my wife we need to save money. We don't need to spend money on daycare when I'm not doing anything anyway. And so, I just got really into storytelling and and was studying like how to build up characters and everything like that. And then one day, back in 2016, 17, I created my first character called named Ray Ray Franklin. Um, and from then on, I just got hooked. I just feel like anybody could turn on the game, start a career mode, and play, get a bunch of interceptions, score a bunch of touchdowns. But who are those characters? Like I feel like those characters have to have layers. They have to like in order for me to set myself apart. I feel like I had to bring those people to life. So like just like for the like Tyler Hawkins you were talking about, the farmer. I'm a black dude, so generally black people make black people in video games, white people make white people in video games. But I wanted to be think so far out in the box. I thought it would be cool and it would be eye grabbing for people to see this black dude playing with this white character on a video game. So I literally, just from I learned this from journalism. I researched. I came up with the state, so I picked Iowa. I looked up the census of Iowa and I picked the city. I then researched the city to pick a school district, to pick what school he would go to. And then, only one thing I got off from it was people from Iowa said the city I picked is more city, is more metro than it is farmy. But they said that was like the only thing I kind of messed up there. They said, but other than that, I got the high school right. I got but then on the flip side of that, another person said that there are a lot of football players from Iowa who face that same problem of their parents wanting them to take over the family business and farming when you know they have their own dreams. And I feel like in an extent we all can relate to that because me, I never really wanted to go to college out of high school, but you know, that was just the thing to do. You graduate high school, you go to college. That's just what everybody in my family did. I only went to college to play baseball. And if that didn't work out, I was kind of like, well, you know, college really isn't for me. And so I never really believed in college. And, you know, but my dad and my sister were always pushing me, this is what you need to do. So, I kind of lived my experience through him, from him picking his own path, whereas though I didn't pick my own path until, you know, within the last 5 to 6 years or so when I finally said, I'm gonna do what I want to do, how I want to do it.
You were talking about, in a way, living through Tyler Hawkins in that series and kind of how he was pursuing his dream. What do you think that series did for you as a YouTuber and as a person?
It took my channel to a whole nother level. That was like, I had 2 successful series before that. I had the Florida Atlantic Dynasty and I had the Army Dynasty. Those did well, but that Tyler Hawkins Dynasty, I think that got me to I think that got me over my first 10,000 subscribers. I think that storytelling it was the first series that got me out to the masses of YouTube, being put on people's recommended pages, people falling in love with my ability to tell stories, people falling in love with my ability to think outside the box. I think that's what officially set me apart from other YouTubers in the same genre as me. And then it also unlocked a door in my brain on what could be on the platform of YouTube, because I was in film school at the time, and we were writing stories and everything like that, and so I was doing a lot of creative writing exercises, and then literally one day I don't even know how that even came about. It just clicked that I wanted to do this player. And then it just I think that's what set me up for where my channel is now. To, you know, where it's people know what they're coming to my channel for. And you know, as a business owner, as a creator, you know, often as a consumer, we want to know, what are we coming to you for? Like when you go to McDonald's, you know what you're going to McDonald's for. When you go, you're not going to get from McDonald's what you go to get from Outback Steakhouse. You know what I'm saying? When you go to the Amazons and you know the Walmarts, you know what you're getting. And I feel like that created my niche, where of course it's not brand new to the point where nobody ever on YouTube has ever told a story about a player, but a lot of people have told me that was the most in depth they've ever seen somebody go into creating a character in a video game. And so, yeah, I think it got the new eyes in the revolving door of eyes on me that I was looking for at the time.
Then you follow that up with the Hawaii Tech series that ended up with, I think it was 100 episodes. And that was the one where it was like, yo, and I remember seeing the very first episode, and then next thing I know, we was on season 2, season 3, and the numbers seemed like they were just continuing to rise. Like people are like, "Yo, I'm a Hawaii Tech fan. This not even a real school," and people just jumping on. How did that momentum build? What was kind of from the creator's perspective? What was happening with that series, and why do you think that worked so well?
All right, so of course, I was doing I did the RTG players, the Road to Glory, this career mode players, but when it came to dynasties, I was using real teams. So I was using Vanderbilt at the time. So I had my Vandy series. And, I just was looking for that signature dynasty because I felt like my dynasties weren't doing as well because, I was picking teams that people didn't use on YouTube before. But those schools, I would start off every series with the school history. That school already had their own history. They had their real alumni. They had their real NFL players. They had their real existence in the universe. And so what me and my other YouTube friends would do, literally, when we were all looking to go with our team builders, UGF, University of Georgia Fairburn, which is a fictional school by the YouTuber, not the expert, he was kind of dying down with his series, and I was just like, this is my perfect time to come in with my own series of this nature. Oh, and then my friend T and J had the Whitetails Dynasty, because he had a walk-on dynasty, but he figured out a way to have a true walk-on team. I tried to do a death penalty series with Miami, but I didn't know how to get all walk-on players. But T and J unlocked that key. I mean, he had the key to that lock, and once he opened that up for us, I would spend literal hours a day searching team builder teams, different states, different keywords, different mascots, and then this one day, probably the third hour, I was searching through teams because old servers, old game, it takes forever to load up, unload, load up. I just decided, I was like, let me just type in Hawaii. Literally, all I typed in was Hawaii. I scroll down, see Hawaii Tech. I look at the uniforms. Boom, this is it. So now, I know how to tell a story. Let me just think about what would happen with this. So, I look up Hawaii. Of course, the University of Hawaii is there. And I think they have other colleges there. And I was just looking up Hawaii. I wanted to make sure Hawaii Tech was not a real place. So then, University of Hawaii, I believe, is in Honolulu, or I think it's in Honolulu. So I looked up another big place that people know about, Maui. Even though technically Hawaii Tech is from Honolulu, this is my universe. So I can make them from where I want. And so Maui doesn't have they have a college, I believe, but it's like they don't have sports teams or anything like that. So I said, boom, we got a college in Hawaii. But what is the most unlikely way for a college to start? All right, I picked a black guy named Daquan who was on his honeymoon, who got attacked by a shark. All right, so from there, let's come up with, all right, so I picked up how he got to school. Now, he sued them. He got money, and he wanted to pay homage to his newfound wealth, and he decided to open up a college. Black man giving back. Wanted to pay homage for. He didn't want to seem like he was ungrateful for his money, and he always loved football himself, and he figured, why not own a school that could potentially become one of the perennial powers in the college football land. And so in my mind, I just cooked that up. Had my boy Big C read it. He works in news and television as well, so he has a very broadcasty voice. So I knew he would be perfect to tell that story. And then, so after that, I let the players tell the story. So one of the things I like to do is I let the gameplay and the players become their own people and tell their story. So Mike Cutler, was one of the main characters. I even created a jersey for him. He was never supposed to be the type of player he was on our team, but no matter how much I benched him, whenever he got in the game, he made plays. The worst rated receiver I had on my team, he's like a 50-something overall when he graduated. But this man, you just couldn't let him down. And so I said, who would have the most perseverance of anybody like this? A cancer survivor, somebody who survived the terminal illness. Most people I know that survive a terminal illness, they live by their own rules after that, because they see how bad life can be, and they don't take life for granted. And so I came up with that. And then it's just Shuffle God Johnson. That's one of my best friends, Isaac Johnson. I actually have his merch on right now. He I let my sponsors become recruits, or I have subscriber recruits. And so his story became easy because I personally know him. Threw some facts in there, threw some fiction that made it some fun. And then, there's ultimately, and then I wasn't even supposed to post that series as much as I did. I posted, so the episode 1, after one day, did about 4,000 views, which for my channel, I'm like, that's dope. I go to sleep, I wake up, about like 8,000. Let me go ahead and drop episode 2. Then next thing you know, 15,000, 20,000. Let me drop episode 3, 15,000, 20,000. But the episode 1 is up to like 40, 50,000 now. Let me drop episode 4. Boom. So I was doing this every single day. And this is while I was a full-time student. So I would wake up, work out, go to school, come back, record, edit, post. And my internet is terrible. So that's like a very strenuous thing to do, as much as I was doing. But it was just like, I was having so much fun with it that I just didn't want to put it down. And next thing you know, that video was recommended on everybody's stuff. I'm having people saying, "Oh, I'm binge watching this series. Oh, I just found this series today." And now that's my first video. It just hit 100,000 views the other day. My first video ever, and I'm just like, wow, that's like this series, and I dropped it at the perfect unfortunate time. I dropped it, February 25th, 2020. Uh, you had heard rumblings about COVID. Back then it was just the coronavirus. Nobody knew how serious it was. It's like another Ebola. We'll get over it. Next thing you know, my internship at Georgia Public Broadcasting gets canceled. Countries are getting shut down, and even school was shut down. We didn't even have class. They didn't even know what to do before they made everything through Zoom and virtual. And so, all right, I can go full time now without risking falling behind on my schoolwork. Now I can just work and post videos every single day. And that series helped so many thousands and thousands of people get through a global pandemic when there was a lot of uncertainty on the future of the world.
I think the other thing about that was that sports were just gone. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like they were just everybody hit the pause button, season suspended, but we still have virtual sports. And I believe last year was the time for all the esports and all the virtual. I said, man, this is the time for us to go crazy because that's all we've got. You know, the only packed stadium you're gonna see is gonna be an NCAA or it's gonna be a Madden. So I think that also ended up being huge for just about anybody who wanted to do that. And I think you took just full advantage of that, man. And I love the series. I love Shuffle God Johnson just because every time he said Shuffle God, I was like, that can't be the brother's real name. But I was like, man, this is dope. And then I saw you was selling the jerseys. I was like, bro, people are gonna be walking around with Cutler jerseys, man. They be like, yo, who is that? And it's like, that's crazy how people can get so invested into a virtual series, but that was the time to do it. You know, we didn't have anything else. So that was amazing. So you kind of talked about kind of the schedule that you had. Like you were doing school, come home, record it, and then edit post. But also, you're a husband, you're a father. How are you balancing all of those things while you were in school and while you got to work out in the morning and everything else?
Well, the main thing is just, my wife is having an awesome wife, having a dope wife, right? So I met my wife in the military, so she's no stranger to me having to work a lot or her having to work a lot and having to pick up the slack for one another. And so I just I know I'm going back, but just a little backstory to it. When I first started YouTube actually in the Army before I retired. And I'm a type of person where I go all in on things. I bought a camera, I bought a microphone, I bought a computer, I bought a desk, and so I just told my wife, trust me. I was like, trust in me, believe in me, and I'm going to make sure we're going to be okay. At first, it was iffy because, she just seen it as you just want an excuse to play the video game more and, and not deal with your responsibilities. And, like most people, it didn't really make sense to her until money started rolling in monthly. Like, oh, you're doing this. We have extra for this. We can save this. We can pay off this debt. We can take a trip here. And, just from me literally moving my two thumbs on the controller. Of course, it's more than that because I tell the story, but essentially that's what it is. And so when that time came, I just asked her, I said, this is the time for me to go full time. Because of course I technically was full time because I'm retired. I said, this is the time to make it where I spend 8 to 15 hours a day in my office creating content. I just need your help. I need you to understand that I'm not always going to be available. And, because like a lot of people don't realize for content creators, we're home because that's where our job is, but we're not home. This is work. I'm not, you just seen on camera. I had to tell my daughter that I'm working, but yeah, of course I'm not a butthole. I'm still going to go see what my kid needs. But at the end of the day, daddy will be out there because this is work. I don't see this as a hobby or me just playing a game. This is my office. Yes, it's cool stuff in here. There's video game stuff in here. There's cameras here, but this is work. This is not, I barely play the game for fun, which my job is fun as a YouTuber, but I don't just play the game leisurely like I used to, which is fine. It sucks sometimes, but this the decision I chose. So having an understanding wife who believes in my vision, that believes in, letting me lead as the provider and the man of this house, and knowing that I'm not going to put us in a situation that's going to set us up to fail. I mean, it's no better feeling in the world when you have the support of your significant other. Um, there's nothing else you need in order to push yourself further in order to do better.
Absolutely, man. And sometimes during a stream where I see you interact with your daughter, I see you interact with your wife. It's like you can tell, and it sends a message to the viewer, at least to me, like it is family first. We all see it. It's not like you're not hiding it. It's all there. So yeah, man. I think that's wonderful, bro. And I think one of the things that I wanted to ask, I guess a little bit earlier, but I guess we can kind of round about into it. You were just talking about, being a husband and a father, but being a black gamer in this space and kind of making waves the way that you have. Is there anything that I guess that to you says, okay, I'm a brother that's really creating content that somebody else can look to? Because I'm telling you right now, as a black man, I'm one of them. I started my channel about a year ago. And I was inspired by by the series that you had and how that speaks to other people. I don't know if you've ever thought about that meaning, or what the impact you actually have as a black gamer is and what that means to you.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, of course, as a black man, and you're younger than me. You're born in '96. I was born in '89. It's not too young, but it's basically you were still in like elementary school when I was in high school type thing. So you know what I mean? So it's a big enough difference. So it's just like but you can still know that no matter what it is in life, except for sports, we don't have a lot of representation. There's not a lot of people we can look to and say, oh, okay, that's obtainable, because like most things, is heavily regulated by white people. And that's not a bad thing to them. They are the majority of the country, right? We're the minorities. And, a lot of times when we're raised, like us as black men, I'll just say strictly for black men, we're always starting with, we're always starting one step behind. And so growing up playing video games, you're constantly told, stop playing those video games. Nothing's going to come from it. You need to focus on school. You need to focus on this. Like, so if you're school, you need to focus on school. If you're good at sports, you need to focus on sports, because that's what's going to get you out the hood. That's what's going to get you, to sit a seat at those tables that I couldn't get to as your parent, your grandfather, your uncle, because, this is your way out. And so I was always told that, but when my growing up, my video games was always told, I was always told it was a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? I always got told if you tried as hard at school as you did on video games, you'll be okay. And I didn't, I had decent grades, but I just always knew, I always believed that video games could be something bigger. Cause I remember when Halo first was really popping on the scene in the MLG tournaments, I had a friend who was in those MLG tournaments, a black dude. And, he turned down a contract to live in like a Halo house and be on the esports team and everything like that. And I just knew that eventually it would catch on. But also, video games is one of those things I'm never going to stop doing, because it's me. It keeps me out of trouble. It helps me save money. And, a lot of people don't realize the positive effects of video games, the problem solving, the hand-eye coordination, you know what I mean? The mental capacity it takes to remember some of the things we remember to play games without, like, we're literally using a controller without looking. Like, it's literally muscle. We're literally just doing things that the average person can't do without the amount of practice that we have. Like, and then you go to the step further with the pros. They're literally the top 1% in something that millions of people do leisurely. But, like, I guess things hit me hard when I find out that somebody says my videos got them through a family member passing. As a soldier, my videos have gotten people through hard times in deployments. My videos have gotten people through divorces. My videos got people through the pandemic. My videos, people literally plan their days around watching my videos. They refresh their page to watch my videos. They know they're going to wake up, go to school or work, come home, and Uncle Sam's Reject has posted a video. And that's like the highlight of their day. Like, and it's just crazy to me the impact. Like it's crazy. Like when I was talking to one of my friends, it's crazy how much people care about me, and I've never met them. Like literally, people will see me being sleepy or tired on stream, or I post a funny video of me falling asleep while recording. People say take some days off, get some rest. People actually care about my wife and kids. You get some trolls who say some stupid stuff, but people like they know my wife. My wife comes in the chat. My daughter comes in the video. Everybody knows her. They get excited to see. People want to see my family in more videos. Like it's crazy. Like you said earlier, it's crazy what a hobby has been able to do. And the main thing is, I wish my mom was still allowed to see it just so I can poke fun at her so she could tell me to shut up. There's that I was always told I would never make money playing video games. I was told there was no future in playing video games. And now something that I used to do, something that I will 100% do for free, because I did it for free for 25 plus years, I'm now getting paid to do. And there's no better feeling. Whenever you do something you love for work, it's not work. And whenever it starts to feel like work, I'll take a couple of days off. I'll take a step back because I don't want to hate my job. When I was certain times in the Army, I hated my job. Not because I was in the Army, but leadership. And that's at any job. You have a crappy boss or supervisor. So, like I can come down here and, all my problems go. I come down here, I put these headphones on my ear, I start up my PC, boom. I'm at work. I'm in bliss. I can lock my door and be away from everybody if I want to. And it's just crazy that, and I know I'm getting long-winded with a lot of these questions. My apologies, but it's just crazy that the impact I'm having on people, like the fact that I'm literally like I'm inspiring people to go and do things. Like I'm the reason why people have tried new things, have went out and to really chase their hobbies and goals. And and just as a person who's lost their parent, I lost my parent as a teenager, my mom as a teenager, to know that I had video games to help me get through my mom passing with friends. But now, even though it's virtual, I'm that friend helping somebody else get through a hard time through video games. And it just goes to show you how much video games can bring people together.
One of the things I think stands out about your channel, outside of the storytelling, is there's not a lot of brothers I see on YouTube, at least from my perspective, doing a lot of baseball gaming, especially not as much baseball gaming as you do. Now, I know you play baseball. You talked about going to college to play baseball. Why so much of the baseball game? And I'm assuming it's just because of the fact that you play and you have so much interest in the sport.
Yeah, well, baseball is my first love. Baseball. So I grew up playing. I remember I started playing sports 3 or 4 years old. And, the easier sports to play at that age is soccer and baseball because you can't really get hurt. You're learning. And my dad and my grandfather were, well, all right. So on my dad's side, my dad and his dad were into baseball a lot. My dad played baseball. My dad went to college to play baseball. On my mom's side, I have an uncle and a cousin who were drafted into the MLB out of high school. Well, in the MLB draft, of course, you have to go to the minors and stuff like that. And so baseball was always that sport where it just spoke to me at a young age. I played football. I played basketball, blah, blah, blah. I played everything. I did martial arts. But baseball is just something about fresh cut grass, the smell of hot dogs, a sunny day. It just, being in field, throwing the ball around, hitting the ball, running the bases, sliding in the dirt. It's just something about that sport. And, and because growing up, I was actually better in soccer than I was in baseball. But I kind of quit soccer because, I actually got kind of like talked that I got peer pressured out of that. It wasn't cool. I'm from the inner city. But is one of the things where we've always been underrepresented is baseball. um, even in playing the sport, only like 7% of the MLB are black. And you know what I'm saying? Even less kids are playing in Little League, you know, when I like, you know, really started getting into baseball and stuff like that. And it's just like, I just want to show that the sport is just as cool as any other sport. Yeah, it's slow, but it's just like there's so many. Like I'm in a group chat with nothing but black people, and all we do it's literally a baseball group. All we do is talk about baseball. There's so many black people who like baseball, but you can't just click. You can't just turn on YouTube. Literally, no MLB YouTuber that has you know, like an elite status in the genre is black. And why is that? It's not because black people don't like baseball. You know, we play it, we like it, and I just felt like, but then in the same breath, I feel like, and this could be just me throwing it out there, but I feel like a lot of my baseball content doesn't do well because it's coming from a black dude. Like straight up, and I feel like sometimes on YouTube, black people don't want to see a black man play baseball, even though like people who I've actually taught people about baseball through my videos. And you know, it's not so it's not like I don't know the game. And like one of my other friends, he's black, but he doesn't do face cam. He plays baseball games and his stuff does well. But I feel like not because his content isn't good, because his content is really good, but I feel like his baseball stuff does well because they can't see his face. So they're just watching baseball content and hearing a voice. Whereas though my football and basketball content does well because what skin color do you associate with those sports to dominate those sports? And so, you know, even though I grew up watching, like I grew up I idolized King Griffey Jr. and like growing up in baseball. Wore my hat backwards like him, like the bat like him. I wanted to play the outfield like him. So, you know, but there was a lot of black players when I was growing up to kind of like look at. And now, like, what about that black kid who likes baseball, but none of his friends likes baseball? Everybody thinks it's boring. There's no black dudes on TV talking about baseball. He can't even be like, look, he's just like us, and he likes baseball. And so, you know, they kind of get away from it and they go play the footballs, and you know, they go play the basketballs and the stuff of that nature. I just feel like we just need, like, there's so many things black people are good at, and I often feel like we're undershadowed, and that's the reason why I wanted to post so much baseball stuff, because I talked to some people. There's literally no black face associated with MLB The Show, and literally one of the leaders of MLB The Show is Ramon Russell, a black man. He is the guy that everybody tweets at when they want info on MLB The Show. He's the scapegoat. Excuse me, like, you know what I mean, like the joke when people be like, when people used to be like, thanks Obama. He's that when it comes to MLB. They're like, oh, thanks Ramon, or Ramon fix this. But it's like he's like the Mike Wang of MLB The Show for 2K, where everybody blames everything on him, and it's just like, but there's no black creators, and it just doesn't make sense to me, because I follow baseball more than any other sport there is, and I just feel like I need to showcase that, and it frustrates me that, you know, my baseball stuff doesn't do well. Like, yeah, but like most I think most of the people who watch my stuff are white, but that's even crazy that baseball is just like very unpopular now, because even like my white supporters and subscribers are like, man, baseball's boring, or I don't know about baseball. But growing up where I'm from, you know, in New Jersey, most of the people who play baseball are white. So, you know, maybe that's a little bit of my ignorance. Most people I know, like the majority of people I know that like baseball are white. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, but baseball for me is just one of those things where it's just in my blood, and it's always been in my life and in my family. Like nobody in my family has not played baseball at one point or another, and like at pretty high levels at that.
Right, right. And I'll tell you what, bro, like you bring up really good points, because, and I remember reading an article about it too. You can put a hoop up and tell two black kids in the inner city to go pick up a ball and go play. But it's hard to find some land and then get you're going to need at least like 10, 11 kids to go. You know, you could try to have an all-time pitcher and everything, but you got to find kids to play defense. You know what I'm saying? You got to find really a group of kids to do that. And that's hard to do. So, you know, that's part of the reason. I mean, there's so many things about it. And I think the other part,
it's more expensive. I mean, in basketball, only thing you need is sneakers. In football, the only thing you need is cleats, because unless you're like on those elite levels, I'm sure you probably play football. You get your pads. You get that. There's a equipment pass out. Here, what size you need? Try these pads on. Those are your pads. Here, try this girdle on. That's your girdle. So baseball, you need a bat, you need a glove, and a good glove is anywhere with $150 to $300. Like I have gloves that cost $300. I have bats that cost $400. So it's not and it's one of those things where if you buy cheap, you get out what you put in, and it's not worth it. So that's another thing to it. But it's just like I feel like a lot of kids would benefit from it because baseball is such a thinking man's sport that I feel like it teaches you critical thinking and how to think ahead on things. I credit a lot of things in my thinking in my life to baseball personally.
The other thing I wanted to throw in there too was that even when you're a young black man and you like baseball, when you see some black stars in the MLB, they do the interview, they don't even speak English. So it's like, dang.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, man, I love Ronald Acuna. Bro, he does not speak English very well. Like, you know what I'm saying? So we look at, okay, where's some brothers that really, that are actually, they're African American. So, I think of like Mookie Betts, Tim Anderson, right? Like those are two that come off the top of my head. But at the same time, you look at like a lot of the stars, people could have, they could have saw Big Papi, you know what I'm saying?
So I was going to say that. I'm sorry because y'all, but when I was a kid, but this is before I traveled and seen the world. For the life of me, and he is black, right? He's a black man. You can't deny it, right? But he's a Hispanic black man. But for the life of me, thought David Ortiz just had a Hispanic last name. You couldn't tell me that he wasn't a black dude from like New York or something like that until he opened his mouth. But the thing, to touch on Mookie Betts and Tim Anderson, the thing I love most about those dudes and what I would have loved to see as a kid with them, one, I love Mookie Betts because clearly Mookie is not that man's first name. That's his name from the hood. And he came to the MLB. No, call me Mookie. Don't call me. My name is Mookie. That's what they call me. And you know what I'm saying? He's Team Jordan. He wears Jordans. He wears, he dresses like us. Tim Anderson, he wear Montclair coats, big furs, chains, J's, you know what I'm saying? Like, so when you see that to a black kid, if a black kid see Tim Anderson walking down the street, you're going to be like, damn, he too cool for school. But he is shortstop in the MLB. You see Mookie walking down the street, oh, that's a regular black. Nah, he's literally probably the second best right fielder in the game of baseball right now. One of the best players to play the game of baseball and very instrumental to winning a World Series. But, that was a big thing about Ken Griffey Jr. when I was a kid. Wearing a hat backwards was thuggish back in the day. But Ken Griffey Jr. winning a home run derby with his hat on backwards, with a big ass earring in his ear. He got nice Nike kicks on the field. He not wearing no Bobos. You know what I'm saying? Like his sneakers look like something. Well, his shoes are something people wear out with kicks. Like the Griffies, the swingmans are sneakers people wear out to the club to get fresh in and stuff like that. And like that's huge for people like us because when we look at stuff as in young impressionable men, how can you speak to me when you don't understand where I come from? And a lot of times your baseball coaches, for kids, if they want to play at elite level, it's going to be dudes who really don't understand who they are and where they come from, and that's a turnoff as well. That basketball coach probably from the same area you from, and he knows what it's like to grow up like you. He can speak to you about things. He understands your struggles, and that definitely comes to it as well. And the fact that baseball is just slow. It's a slow game. Basketball and football, up and down, up and down, up and down. Baseball is real slow. You can be in the outfield and literally not get a ball hit to you all game. And so I think that turns a lot of kids off too.
Which is fair. And I remember talking to John Schmaltz one time, and we were talking about that. And he was saying, look, we're at a point where, like, if you did not grow up watching baseball, like, if that's not a thing your family did, if you didn't go to ballparks, it's going to be hard for you to just get into it. If you grow up with basketball, if you grow up with any sport that's pretty fast-paced, so especially a sport like soccer, it's going to be so hard to get into baseball. You're like, bro, what is going on? But if you think about it, the time it takes to play a game is just about the same. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be watching from about 1 to 4 with a football game anyway. It ain't really no different with a baseball game, but just it was always the pace of play, always the pace of play. So I'm 100% with you there. And I've taken up a lot of your time, man. So I really appreciate you taking some time to speak with me. Last thing here, what can people expect from you going into the rest of 2021?
All right, so for me, the rest of 2021 is just I'm gonna keep the same consistency on my channel. I'm trying to work on some collaborations. I'm trying to work on just broadening my content, and I just want to continue to entertain. I think the stories are going to get better. I think and one of the big things going forward too is just we finally have gotten word that we're getting a new college football game, and when we get that game, is going to be so like the things you guys have seen me doing NCAA 14 is just like the tip of the iceberg because this game is almost 10 years old. Now just imagine what I could do with a game that's up to date, current graphics and everything of that nature. It's just mind boggling. But it's just I mean, of course, when I say same on me, I don't mean nothing's gonna change because the long things have to change in order for progress. But you know what I'm saying? It's just you're gonna get you're gonna get what you expect out of my channel, and that's good quality content that I care about, and that I take a lot of pride in, and just know everything, all the well wishes you guys give me, and the kind words you give me means a lot, and I honestly do make content for you, the viewers.
All right, man. Look, I'm looking forward to just about everything you come out with. I'm watching all the time anyway. So whatever you come out with when college football comes back, all of it, I'm down. Just know I'm down, man. So I really appreciate you taking out some time to speak with me, man. This is Uncle Sam's Reject. If you want to follow him or if you want to subscribe to his channel, I will have all that in the description box. Is there any other way people can follow you, brother?
So yeah, I'm on. I mean, I'm old, but I'm pretty much on all the social platforms. So I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitch, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram. I'm not on the Snapchats, but I'm on TikTok. But I'm getting old now, and a lot of that stuff is starting not to make sense to me. So, but if you want, I'm pretty much Uncle Sam. I'm either Uncle Sam's Reject or Uncle Sam's Reject YT on everything.
Easy enough, man. Well, look, I really appreciate that, brother, and you take care, man.
All right, man. Thanks. You too.
All right.